The views and opinions on the Craig L. Hay Show do not necessarily reflect those of Westgate Resorts ownership or management. And now, on with the show. All right, we're back with the Craig L. Hay Show here at the Westgate Resort, and we're talking to Talbot Snow about all of our escapades in the past on album stuff. And hear from, let's see, where are we at? Well, yeah, we're in Elvis Presley's dressing room at the Westgate Resort in the basement of the International Showroom.
I can see Elvis, his ghost, standing over in the corner there.
He's saying, "Oh, thank you very much for talking about me. Thank you, thank you." So, anyways, hey, we're going to do one more song here today, and we're not going to get on to talking about gospel stuff. You know, we're going to do that one day. I'll just come down, we'll record it, and just talk stuff. You know, get into some spiritual stuff and see.
We'll get so deep, people will say, "We're not worthy."
Yeah, that's what they'll say. I don't think that's what they're going to say. Anyways, let's talk about Jim McNally. He wrote a couple songs for the album, Contrary to Belief, and his stage name is Michael James.
Yes, he actually wrote several songs, many.
Excuse me.
Many songs, and he had a couple of two songs that made it, I think, right on this
songs onto the album, yeah,
onto this particular album.
Yep.
But he had many songs, and he also appears in many of the songs that are on the album.
Yeah, he does backup vocals. He does all the drum stuff, basically. Well, I shouldn't say all of it. He does about 95% of all the drum stuff. And
yeah, the live stuff,
and the sequencing of the drums and the programming, and and you and I would always have to go and fill in with whatever extra pieces here and there that we'd need.
Yep, he's a great drummer, musician, good singer, good writer. He had a real good sort of introspective view about things, life, and whatnot, and you can hear that in some of his lyrics too. You know, he was, I guess, in a way, since we're all we were or are you, me, him, LDS. Can I say that?
Yeah, it was what we are.
So that, the influence of church in our lives gives us a sort of perspective on life too.
Yeah.
And that comes out in some of the lyrics, and then we, Jim being a drummer, he always liked stuff that was rhythmic, obviously, and
lots of percussion, lots of everything. Yeah.
Yep. And he and I met pre-missions, pre our serving missions, and in those days, I just had little more than a kind of a band rehearsal room. And he brought his live drum set in, and I had, a couple of keyboards, and we would jam a little bit. And we had, we had the DJ rig sitting in there, and my bed, which is a giant, like, bean sack thing. So it doubled as my bedroom, plus a band room, plus whatever.
Yeah.
And before it was a studio. Anyway, so we were jamming, and recording kind of just sort of rudimentary things on cassettes. That's all we had, just 2-track cassettes. But I would do that thing where I would bounce from one cassette deck to another. We could sort of multi-track that way.
Yeah.
In a very kind of crude kind of way, but it worked okay. Not great, but okay.
Yeah, got a lot of extra tape hiss on.
Yeah. And so then we went on our missions and came back, and that's later on we got into the whole studio thing more officially.
He became a part of the band, man, the band.
Yep, and the overall production family, as it was at that time. And so he wrote this song.
I think this is Article 13.
And yeah, so there you go, right there. There's an LDS connection right there. Yeah. But yeah, it's cool. He sings great. He plays great. It was his vision, his idea, and he had me play some things on it, some keyboard stuff, and I don't know if I did any vocals on this or not, but
I don't remember you doing them, but you could have done something. But I thought it was pretty much just him. It was his baby, and he wanted to.
He wanted to do a kind of a housey electro, production.
Yeah.
So it's got a little bit of those classic house piano, bum 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 bum. And I think that was his idea as well, just the main riff. So yeah, it was cool. Let's listen to it, eh?
This isn't it, yeah. And I don't think it ever says Article 13 in the whole thing, but he called it that. I don't know. I have to listen to it again. I can't remember ever hearing.
That's an artist for you.
Yeah, there you go. And of course, Talbot has to be the piano player for the last word on that song. Yeah,
So that was a cool song, right?
that was really cool. You know,
I,
it
I
was,
um,
when I first heard it and he's playing, I was like, "Whoa, this is really different." You know, and then as it started taking shape after a couple of times, and was all of us working on the thing, and of course I take off. You guys just keep playing with it, you know, and then come back, the next day or whatever. I'm like, "Oh, you guys did quite a bit." You guys got some real advancement on this thing. It's starting to really take some awesome shape, you know.
yeah, Jim, I remember listening to it now. I remember more things about it. Um, One of those being that I remember him saying that he wanted to mix, danceable electronic stuff with rock. And you can definitely hear that. I'm not sure if that was Victor or Quentin playing that
No,
stuff.
I was going to ask you, was it Danny Joe or
It
Quentin?
wasn't
Or
Danny Joe. It was
it was either Quentin
or Victor.
or Victor. It could have been either one of them on that. Yeah.
Yeah, they and maybe they even traded off. They could have been both of them on those solos.
Yeah.
Um, we'll have to look on the credits or ask somebody. I don't remember, but
I don't, yeah.
they were both very tasteful guitar players, and they were able to play on that's not a traditional rock song, but they made the rock guitar thing work with and I mean it has an extensive guitar solo section. I mean that's got to be at least 16 bars or 32 bars even of guitar solo.
Yeah.
And
No, it's one of those things that I think Jim wanted to have. Let's just have guitar crazy for a little bit, you know. So,
yeah, yeah. And it's got a killer beat that he played, he programmed and played. He had what was it, an RX-5, I think, or an RX, I don't know, one of those Yamaha drum machines, along with his live drums, and he programmed all of that, and I played the keyboards and the bass line, and I didn't do any vocals.
no vocals. They're not there at all. I didn't think you were when we were talking about it, but
So that was all Jim, and I remember him too when he laid those vocals down. I mean, and you can hear the depth in his lyrics. Those are some pretty cool, deep lyrics, like introspective stuff about
yep.
looking at life and analyzing life and thinking about what you're doing and where you're going, and not throwing all your goodies out the window. Is what I got out of it. And, each person gets something different out of what they hear. But I remember him too saying, "I want to do this crazy." You heard that high vocal in the background?
Yep.
That's Jim. And when he first brought the idea, I was like, "What are you talking about, bro? Like that's kind of weird, right?"
Yeah.
But again, that's
Now, for you to say that's kind of weird. All right, there's a pot calling the kettle black.
and I remember I think we talked about how there's a voice in the Star Trek theme song. Yep. Ooh,
Yeah, and that's what always made me think of the way that the song was going. There's, it's like I think he likes Star Trek.
Yeah. So he actually, we talked about this idea that should we get a female singer or whatever, but then Jim could do like a falsetto thing, whatever. He could sing high like that. So he did that thing, and then we put that. It's almost it's kind of a scary sound. It goes, it's kind of like it's like a descending chromatic scale, they call that. And it was done on purpose to give sort of a haunting, introspective sound, but it was in the background. So he still had the main hook, his voice out front, and then he had that other thing happening in the back, and that was cool. It worked.
Yeah, that was a fun one to mix and play with, and
it also had rock rhythm guitar in it as well, and I could hear it left and right. So I guess we had 2 tracks of that at least.
yes,
And so it had a little bit of that rock vibe all the way through it. Not super loud, but it was there. And then the guitar solos would kick in. That gave it more of that rock edge. Because Jim was a bit more of a rocker. I guess maybe still is. And so he brought that to the table. We weren't I wasn't a rock person per se, although I've played on enough rock and played around with enough rock productions. But at the time, I was more into funk and R&B and hip hop and pop kind of stuff, and so that got blended in too with how the song got developed. He and I working on it together. But that's his, that's one of his masterpieces.
Yeah, and it is. It's a good, solid song.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And he, like I said, he wrote probably dozens of songs that he had recorded here and there in different ways, and that was one of the ones that we got more polished and more developed, and we put it on the album.
Yep. And he had another one. I don't remember the name of the other one, but it's more towards the beginning of the album. This one, I just looked at the back and played that one.
Mm-hmm.
No,
yeah.
we had all kinds of fun stuff.
Yep. Well, I think the other song of his is more rockish on this album as well. But it's got that electro feel as well.
Yeah, maybe we'll get to that one day. We'll get to a bunch of these other songs. I mean, they're fun to play and listen to, and then talk about what it took to make them and stuff like that. To me, I find that enjoyable. Just having a conversation about it, because for me, it brings back all those days of, those are good days.
Yeah, they were excellent days. I mean, like we said on one of our earlier podcasts, if we didn't have music or the studio to put some of this energy into, we probably would have gotten a whole lot more trouble, doing things we shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, the potential was there.
So this gave us, something to focus on and look forward to. I remember in those days, I had just regular jobs, or I was going to school a little bit and working. I always looked forward to coming back home and going to the studio.
And working on these projects, yeah. And eventually we all, at a time period, we were all married at this time. We'd all, started families, the whole 9 yards, but we kept on going on this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Against all, better logic, I guess, we just kept doing it.
One of the future ones, we'll play, some of the stuff from Danny, and we'll play something from Sax, and
Yeah.
we'll play a couple of these things. So, it was a variety. I mean, it was a variety show on this thing, man.
That's another reason why I think, contrary to popular belief, was sort of ahead of its time for a local Vegas-based album to have that sort of variety show approach, and that has stuck with me throughout my own development, production career, such as it is. I have very much a kind of a medley style approach to making songs sometimes, in production.
No, I get you. Yeah, I think we were blessed at that time, and I think we still are, that neither one of us have this big ego.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to be a rock star. I'm going to be, no, I think because if we had, it would have been the Talbot Snow album.
Well,
period.
I am the master of the universe, though, right?
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make you egotistical. It doesn't mean you have an ego or you're a narcissist or anything like that.
No.
It just means you're the master of the universe, and everything will be done the way you want it to be done, regardless of what everyone else thinks.
Right.
But that's not being egotistical or anything like that.
And I'm humble. And I'm really humble.
And you're the most humble person I know. You're the greatest humble person I've ever been around. No, but that's the whole thing, is we wanted to include people. We wanted, come on and join the party, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
I still have that approach, even nowadays.
Nice. Yeah, Zodiac Dragon, you were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I get you. My project basically is it's just me. I don't like anybody else doing it. I don't want anyone.
No, but I mean, look, you are involving different people. You're involving me. Mike's going to come over tomorrow. Criswell. We're going to use this Dave sax guy, and Gene the trumpet dude, and So I mean, you are bringing different people, and you said Wendell might sing on it or whoever.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, I want to get like just 5 or 6 different people to come on over and do some backups on it. But I really don't sing. I don't care. Come on over.
Yes, Kelly's gonna maybe be on it.
Yeah, we're gonna get a few people, just as many as whoever stops by. Hey, can you sing two lines on a song?
Right.
Well, I don't know. Well, come and try.
And that's part of what you hear on the album too, by the way, because you hear these little things, these little cameos that pop up in the middle of songs.
Yeah.
And it was
Those are
just,
the people who stopped by, and so I guess I'm kind of continuing the.
yeah. Yeah, some guy would come up. You know what? Do you feel like rapping right now? We got a bridge. We need a rap. Just go ahead. or someone would just come up with an idea. Like a little cowbell riff or something, and we'd end up keeping it in there.
Yeah, that's the fun part about it. Just throw people at it and just say, "Look what happens when we do this."
Literally, people would drop by. Sometimes they're just one-time appearances. I remember I had a bass player from one of the jobs I had back then. I was working for a telemarketing firm. Those are such, respectable.
Horrible place. Yeah.
Anyway, a guy there was a bass player, and he came over to the studio, and he ended up laying a bass down, which we kept in one of the. And this is the only time he's been in the studio. That one time,
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you his name.
Stopped by and he got lassoed into coming in here and.
Well, I was showing him the song at work, and he goes, "Would you like a live bass player?" I said, "Yeah, sure, So come on over."
Yeah. No, that was our life back then, and it continues. I guess when you said that, I go, yeah, you're right. I'm still doing it. Just grabbing whoever stops by. Your brother stopped by and his daughter, and it's like, hey, you want to be a backup vocals on this? And they're like, well, yeah, I guess. Okay, get in here. Come on.
Yeah.
Postman drops by, puts some mail in the box. Hey, come in here.
You remember that time where we wanted a live crowd sound, and we brought a whole bunch of people into the studio just to yammer, just talk and shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
And we recorded them. Everybody's just sitting there. And it was weird because when you don't think about it, you can do it. But when you're thinking about it, like, what do we talk about?
Yeah, it's hard to do. It's especially when people know they're being recorded. That's the hard part.
And we had about, I don't know, we had like 10 people. I think Whitney was in there.
I think so.
Maybe even John.
It was just a bunch of people. Yeah, we just grabbed everybody and anybody. So come in here and just make a lot, talk like you're.
Yeah, they were all just yammering away and thought it was kind of weird, but we wanted this live sound thing.
Yeah.
And then we did it. And then we did it 2 or 3 times. So we doubled, tripled the number of people.
Yeah, and then mixed it all up, and there it was. So. Yeah. Anyways, Talbot, that's the end of this episode, and there's more to come because him and I have so much to talk about on all these albums and the projects we're working on today. We haven't even hardly touched on the projects we've been working on today.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't talked about Zodiac Dragon. I haven't talked about my covers album that I've been working on. Oh, so much stuff and so little time to do it in. But anyways, this is the Craig L. Hayes Show, and we're going to be talking more. Oops, I just turned myself off accidentally. Hit the wrong button. But we're going to be talking more about all these things with Talbot at another date, and we're going to be putting it out there for you to listen to. And let me see, this is number 9, 10. This is number 11. This is the 11th interview with you. They've been blessed. Let's do some more. Anyways, this is the Craig L. Hayes Show. And until then, we'll talk to you later.